Thank you. And if you would, Jesse, have you introduce your team. I know you got someone in the back as well.
Of course.
I got a few questions for you.
Awesome. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Jesse Forbes, 20 years in auto. Been with Inmar for now about 1.5 years, heading up their sales. And grateful to have Amy Reynolds, Vice President of Marketing with Flow Automotive, with us today. Slayman is our product director, so the genius behind the platform back there. So.
I love it. All right. So over the next 20 minutes, I got about 7 or 8 questions I wanted to ask. I kind of sat down and scribbled some things out. I was like, first one I have is when dealers think about just the OEMs and the retention program. Like, well, when we think about it, not often enough, right? What are they still getting wrong? Like, what are they missing?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is that retention isn't just a loyalty metric. It's not just something that's on an OEM scorecard. It's a lever for profitability and sustainability. And we forget that sometimes because we're very focused on what's in the lane in front of us in that moment, what's going on with that car, what's going on with that customer. It's a highly variable situation kind of at all times in the lane. You sort of come in every day and even your best plans can go awry and you can be waiting for the day to kind of assault you, if you will. So being able to zoom out and think about where does the profit come from, where does the sustainability of the business come from, retention's really related to that. And I think a shift that's worth understanding now that we kind of have a minute to sort of take a pause in this room and not be in a lane and concerning ourselves with the daily, is what has changed with retention from 2015 onward and even prior to 2015. If you think going back prior to 2015, retention was really identity driven. It was really even generational, multi-generational, if you will. You were a Chevy family, you were a Ford man. It was pretty common. And that started shifting. The data shows us after 2015, it became more transactional. And it sort of stayed that way until COVID. And the chip shortage kind of blew everything up for us. And it really didn't kind of normalize again until about 2024. So if you think about it in those terms, the customer that's in your service lane right now is likely newer to the brand than they ever have been before. So when they're in your lane, it's not only that you have that generational, decades-long loyalty that's keeping them there, you really have to take that opportunity for what it's worth. And I think dealers who get it wrong don't think about the long game when it comes to that.
I grew up as a GM parts guy, right? And I've had anti-everything else. And then you had customers who treated us that way too, right? There were people that were diehards, but the diehards aren't dying off. And it is the deal, it's the incentive, it's the offer, it's the service, right? So that's a big shift, which means that we don't have that base loyalty is just dwindled away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think Amy said it really well. I mean, dealers are realizing, the ones that we work with primarily are realizing this is a profit lever, not just a compliance metric. And it's not just about increased fixed ops revenue, right? It's about all the good things that come with retention. Referrals, trade-ins, new and used vehicle sales. But the pressure is real, and you guys know this better than I do. I mean, decline after warranty is steep. So by year 5, we're looking at 75% of our customers going somewhere else, right? And on top of that, service visits are down roughly 12% since pre-COVID. So the customers that we're keeping are coming in less as well. So the dealers that we're seeing being really successful with this are starting to be more precise about how they engage with their customers and then how they measure their customers' lifetime value.
I want to say, I'm not sure they have control, but how are dealers losing control of retention? I mean, how are they keeping their eye off the ball? What obvious things are they doing or not doing, I guess?
From my perspective, dealers lose control of retention when their marketing is not personalized for the customer, right? We understand that dealers are still learning how to score their first-party data, and that's a whole other conversation. But for us, the more important piece is how do you activate on it to get the best return on investment, right? So most marketing is still generic, especially in the service drive. How many times have we all sent a $20 off coupon to everyone in the DMS and called it a month for service marketing, right? So we know we can do better there, But this creates a huge opportunity for dealers to start using the data that they already have to send the right offer to the right customer at the right time.
So how do they figure that out? How do they know like which customers actually need which offer? I mean, how do they make it easy? Because I've sat in that chair, and that chair is one where I got about 20 minutes, right? Effort to put into this right now, and maybe another 20 minutes tomorrow. So how do they easily get that segmentation in?
Yeah, so kind of feeds into the next question, but I think it starts with scoring your customers for us. Becomes incredibly important. So we look at over 100 plus data points to score customers on two things: their propensity to return to the store and their propensity to spend money. This is crucial because it allows us to target your most profitable customers. We know also who's at risk of defecting, and then we can measure accurately customer lifetime value. We know which customers are likely to come back without an offer so that we don't waste margin there. And then we know which customers need an incentive, then based on their lifetime value and future potential revenue, whether it's worth sending a deeper discount to drive that customer back. What that means is that each customer can receive a different offer at a different time, right? And that's key. For example, I might get $10 off my next oil change because I live nearby, I service there regularly, I'm one of your most loyal customers, I bought several vehicles from you. At that point, I might not get an offer at all, right? I just get a reminder because we know Jesse's coming back without an offer. Where Rick, you're gonna get $75 off your next visit because you live further away, your customer pay, you decline brakes, and you're also due for tires, right? And it's not a deeper discount just to drive the activity, it's an investment in the future revenue that you're gonna bring into the store.
All OEMs are a little different, right? Like the way they measure retention is not the same. So how do you align what you're doing with like the individual OEM scorecards?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do several things. First of all, we have to, and this gets to what Jesse was just talking about regarding the data and understanding what really drives the customer. We have to start, and this is going to maybe sound a little different than what you've heard already, but we start with empathy. And empathy, to have that, you have to have context. If I don't know what's going on with you, then I can't have empathy for you, right? All good marketing starts with that. And to get the context, you have to have the data, right? I have to know, like, are you tired? Did you get enough sleep last night? That's my empathy for you personally. But also, what model of your car are you driving? How many miles are on it? What is the OEM, to your point about the OEMs, what is the OEM recommending at this time to be done to the car? If we send them an offer that's got nothing to do with what their car actually needs, then they're going to be like, that's not what I need. That's the wrong offer at the wrong time. So we have to do the right offer at the right time, using that data in the context, including everything from their drive time to the dealership, what's the competitive position, what are their alternatives. And we use all of that to score what's going on. And part of that scoring includes the OEM requirements. We actually did an in-depth look at what the OEM requirements were. You know, we all go into the OEM portal and we see all their graphics and all the formulas and everything like that. Well, you can put that into the Inmar Intelligence system and you can have that tell you what you should be doing and how you should be doing it and which offers worked and which offers didn't work. And that's how we align that. Yeah.
Down to a specific VIN.
These specific, VIN specific.
Opportunities.
Yes,
Okay.
because we all hate it when we get the right customer but the wrong car in. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a twist to my own question. As I'm sitting there thinking, I wrote down, I'm trying to figure out what separates when you do offers and you get them out there and you get somebody to react to the offer. If we're doing that, we're doing that consistently, why isn't our retention really moving? Right? So it's like, what can we do that doesn't just create the spike, the pop, right? But we can get that long-term retention.
Yeah, I mean, what you're really talking about is taking that short-term interaction and turning it into a long-term retention, right? Like, you can't execute a retention strategy on a customer that's not there. They have to come there first. So one of the things that we found after we architected, amazing data-driven campaigns, which, each campaign is a piece of a larger strategy and a system, which we work with you to put together. We had to close the loop and train the staff in the service lane to know what's going on. So you just imagine the example Jesse gave. You're here in town. You're loyal. We think you're coming back. You're nearby. You come all the time. But we gave you a courtesy offer or a reminder to come in. That one's kind of the easy one, as long as you're nice to them and you tell them what's going on with their car and you give them a good experience. The harder ones are when the customer wasn't coming back in and we had to do something really aggressive to get them back in. It's data driven. We know what we're doing, but we have to get them back in some kind of way to get them off the couch. If your service advisor, the first thing they do is see this aggressive offer and sort of react with surprise, or they don't give the customer the best experience because they're thinking, gosh, this isn't worth my time. I'm not getting the gross out of this that I wanted. Well, now you just wasted everything and you've signaled to the customer that something is off track. And the truth of the matter is that you didn't train them to know this was a customer you were never going to have in the first place. Whatever you earned today was over and above because this person wasn't coming back to you.
Plus business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
No, I would just, back to the OEM retention metrics. For us, I think the simplest way to think about it is understanding what each OEM is measuring and then working backwards from there.
Yeah.
So each OEM is a little bit different, right? They measure things differently. They have different terminology, different formulas. So for us, it's understanding all of them and then building in campaigns that are going to execute to drive the behavior and the outcomes that the OEM is actually scoring. That makes sense.
Let me add one thing to that, just from the operations perspective. Really important to close the loop. Really important to have the whole thing come back around. So you have whoever your front line is, if it's service advisors, if it's a BDC, whoever's talking to the customers, when you're executing on the campaign, having a way to gather that customer sentiment, having a way to report back how things are going is really, really important. But one of the things that Inmar can do through all of their data science is they can track those offers. And so even if you don't have that layer of individual sentiment, you can actually see what moved the needle and you can iterate on that, which is really important.
one of my terms that you see in the store, people used to go back and all the time, was called free cheese dip.
Free
Because
cheese
in
dip.
this market, there's a Mexican restaurant chain, Jose Peppers, and put out these queso coupons, right? The stuff that comes in your mail. And it hit me one day how, that action creates just the concept of, might go there to eat, right? That's all that's really meant to do. So it's the free cheese dip. It gets you in the restaurant. And our marketing is designed around that. It's that free cheese dip approach. Get them into the store. Then, guess what? You have an average value for a ticket. And what I have found historically, and this has served me over the last 10, 15 years, that number doesn't change. So if I average $341 a ticket, at the end of the month, even when I did this free cheese dip campaigns, right, $341 a ticket, or it's very close to it. So it's like I didn't compromise my overall ticket sales. Like once I got them in the system, right, the system took care of the rest. The average values, the team, the process. So a lot of it is thinking about, it's like about getting these little pockets of people coming from all these different little areas of our system after we segment them. Just a few here and a few here and a few here and a few here. And guess what? You did 67 more ROs. And then over the course of a year, you've done 800. And then you realize, we're up 3.5% and the business is flat, right? So it's like, it's intentional. So how do you really boil down getting the right offers to the right people? What's the system really kind of doing behind the scenes there?
A good strategy, when we think about it, is not just about one-off offers, right? And I think we get caught up in that a lot to drive activity short term. But you really need to think about this as a full life cycle campaign strategy, right? So it's not about sending more offers or deeper discounts. It's about personalizing the offer, the message, the timing, the value, even whether it's a percentage off, dollar off, all of that can be personalized based on the customer's preferences, right? So for example, if a customer schedules an oil change for their F-150, they're going to receive a very friendly email thanking them for scheduling, but also recommending factory required maintenance based on that mileage interval for that F-150. So everything else that F-150 needs, they're going to receive offers for those automatically. That's really how we move from short-term activity to longer-term retention strategy.
I can. The other elements that we all think about are our PMA or our AOR, however we talk about it. What's our area of responsibility? And there's a great deal of complexity, sometimes, down to the individual zip code. Sometimes it's a radius. A lot of the generic marketing that's out there works, and I do a lot of this because you're forced to, like with Google and Meta, it works with radii. So we can actually target down to the zip code level. We can target and make sure that we're tying everything back to specific op codes. Because, I don't know what brands are represented in the room, but we know that OEMs, a lot of times you don't get credit unless there's a genuine oil filter, or there's a specific op code that goes with it. So that all can be a part of the mix, so that you make sure that, you want to make sure if you drove the customer in that you got credit for that, from the OEM perspective, in addition to the dollars per RO that you're going to have.
Okay, so I'm a service manager. Really, my main concern, I mentioned it before, is I know I need to do all this stuff. I have all the great intentions to do all this stuff. People don't always come off that way. But let's say I invest the strategy, the time, the effort. Can you share with me an example of what it looks like when a dealer really applies this level of thinking and gets into a rhythm with this program? What does it look like?
The results are amazing. I mean, we see ROI right around 12%. But in terms of, I think Amy can probably provide more color on a specific example for Flow.
Sure. Yeah. No. I was just thinking about the profit first offer governance that we work on with you. So it's not about just giving away whatever we dream up that day to drive traffic. It has to be that we're positioned for a profit to come from this, and we are. Of course. The example that really comes to mind for me is we have a store that is in a very competitive market. Customers have a lot of options. They can go a lot of places. It's a little bit of a bedroom community where there's a lot of options inside the community, but also a lot of people drive outside of there and work someplace else where there's also a lot of options. So you're kind of surrounded by options. And the customer base itself for this brand is historically very price sensitive, very, very price sensitive. There's a good warranty, but it's short. So we know that the loyalty drops off, after that warranty period ends. So we're talking a 2-year warranty. So you got all these risk factors involved. And we had been doing all kinds of marketing, really, we thought pretty good stuff for a long time. And we just kept leaking out retention just everywhere. It was there's a hole in the bucket. And so we partnered with Inmar. We put all the OEM criteria in there. We put all the everything. I think of it like I'm putting everything in the machine, like I'm feeding the machine. And what we came out with was, a really clear framework for, these offers are good. Customers are activating on them. You're generating profit from that. That's moving the needle. These offers are too aggressive. You should dial those back. You're losing revenue that you don't need to lose on those. The customers will actually come in without having to do that. And these ones are good. It's like the Goldilocks and the Three Bears kind of. It was really nice. And so we started running those plays and running the system for the store. We got rid of all the other noise. So we weren't doing all this other weird ad hoc stuff. We got rid of all the noise. And we unified the communication between what Inmar was doing from their marketing tactics to our tactics, one-to-one phone calls, texting, emails. It was all unified all together. So we could actually take the same list that we were emailing customers to, and we could call them with the exact same offer. We could text them with the exact same offer. And we have, over 6 months, a 5 percentage point bump in retention. Just huge. Something after we had really tried hard for a while. Yeah, it was really great. And it's sustaining and continuing to climb.
How much time do I have to invest how much time am I working as the service manager to put this all together?
Yeah, so
how much effort on my part?
It's very low lift. It's very turnkey. I mean, we're typically having a 30 to 40 minute meeting monthly to review performance, review offers, strategy. The cool thing about the platform is that you're able to put in basically ranges. And then let the platform operate in terms of where the best discounts are going to be applied. So one of the things I think is really important is, and Amy mentioned this, but to add to it, profit first offer governance is what we call this is the discipline behind smart offers, right? So it's having rules and structure around who gets an offer, how much they're getting, and why they're getting it in the first place. And at Inmar, we actually learned this in grocery, right? That's where Inmar got started, where if you go into a grocery store and type in your phone number for the discounts, that's all powered by us. So even a 5-cent difference in a coupon in grocery can equal millions of dollars, right? So what we're looking for is the minimum effective offer to drive the outcome. Just enough to drive the customer back without giving away margin, right? If the customer's coming back anyway, they don't get an offer. the smallest offer possible to drive the behavior. And that's really how we minimize offer spend while driving incremental revenue.
Let me ask a question. This is a hypothetical. Feel being a little pitchy, but there's a reason, because I get this, and that is, are you going to do anything different? It's going to go back than what you're doing now, because the industry, I mean, we are fighting a headwind here with RO volume. And it's one thing to think the sales department is going to bail us out, sell a bunch more cars, and we're going to get a bunch more fresh customers. But even if they did, they're not good revenue customers for a while, correct? So it's about it really is about maximizing that 3 to 6 year, right? Can we get another year and a half of cycle out of a customer before they fully defect away? That year and a half, that additional time would be volumes. And when you think of 1%, because you mentioned 1% or a 5% lift, think of 1% of your gross every month, 1%. And what if you could improve it by 2%? What about 3%? And so when we think about it, a 5% movement in anything that we do is a pretty substantial movement. So when you look at retention, it's a multiplier, it's a force multiplier. So these are the cars that are coming back in that need to spend more money. They have higher miles. It's all the right reasons. Anybody in here do high mileage club? A couple of you. I mean, it seems silly, but think about what you're trying to do. If you get your miles up, I know you're probably going to defect. I need to do something different to make you stay. So I love retention. I think it's one of those things this conference is all about, using the tools, the intelligence that's available to us, the resources that are available to us. You need to make this job something you can do. You can automate it, getting there, right? Because you're too busy. But something you can put in 30, 40 minutes a month and get a good rhythm and start moving the needle on retention. And I mentioned it yesterday. The carrot, right? The incentives are out there. The carrot, which is the mobile service stipends and all this other stuff to drive retention. But the stick is coming. When the OEMs are going to say, if you don't have your money here, your dealer's not getting that. So now's the time to prepare. So thank you very much. Enjoyed having you here.
Thank you, Rick.
Providing this opportunity. Thanks everybody for joining us. See you across the hall. Thanks.
Thank you.